orphans, rejection, and daddy issues. The inside story of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade isn't about nefarious Nazis, ancient artifacts, the Holy Grail, or greed of man. All of those things. The father thing was my idea, director Steven Spielberg recalled in 2012, explaining the genesis of its plot. Indy discovers his estranged dad, a fellow archaeologist, has gone missing on the trail of the Holy Grail, a fabled cup that offers eternal life. Spielberg described it was a lonely way to grow up. Indy complains at his absentee dad, Henry, played by former James Bond, Sean Connery. Henry's obsession: "What you taught me was that I was less important to you than people who'd been dead for 500 years, the treasure hunter sighs." It's in this moment, not many people have said no to Steven Spielberg across his glittering career. James Bond produced. "He didn't think I was right for the part," the director revealed in 2016. Then, after the first two Indy films, Raiders of the Lost Ark and Temple of Doom, introduced the world to a handsome professor who spends his spare time hot-footing it around mystic ruins. My parents, by the way, were both teachers, but spent most of their spare time in the local garden center rather than dodging booby traps and Burmese tombs. The character offered. When it came to their third installment in the series, Spielberg and Lucas opted for a narrative that gave fans a new perspective on the character, via Indy's father. Who else but Bond? The film almost looked very different to this, though. Originally titled, Spielberg vetoed both The Haunted House and The Legend of the Monkey King as too fanciful. The director instead. This trend of returning to earlier, discarded plot ideas is typical of the Indiana Jones series. It's worth mentioning. The airplane crash. Last Crusade opens with a brilliant origin story, flashing back to Indy's teenage years. Young Jones is. From there, the set pieces don't stop coming. What we're doing here. After Indy picks up Henry's tracks in Venice and ventures to rescue him from a Nazi castle, the pair gradually journey to Hatay, where the Grail resides. You pursued every step of the way by the Brotherhood of the Cruciform Sword, a secret society that protects the Grail and the Nazis, who wish to harness its power for world domination. It's revealed that returning to the Nazi antagonists of the first movie was no accident. Spielberg longed to return to the tone and feel of Raiders after the darkness of Temple, which featured child slaves, dark magic, human sacrifice, and racist tropes about indigenous tribes. The monkey brains luncheon scene hasn't aged well. It's been made in the wake of painful breakups for both Lucas and Spielberg. Lucas had recent reviews reflected this lighter side. Rolling Stone called. Now that a fifth film is imminent. Harrison Ford recently confirmed shooting begins next year. Fans will hope Spielberg and Lucas employ a similar tactic to the one employed after Temple of Doom, righting the wrongs of their previous film, The Dismal Crystal Skull, by reverting to the fun feel of the one before it. In this case, Last Crusade. If it can recapture. MSN are empowering women in sport this summer. Find out more of Gallery of Harrison Ford's photo flashback Wonderwall.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.